What is up, everybody? Yes, we're back with emphasis on sports. I'm your host, Damon Anthony. As usual, we're just going to kick the stuff about sports. For those of y'all that are coming here looking for all sports, while I love them all, I don't really watch them all. Therefore, I don't really talk about them all. I'm a firm believer. Know what you're talking about. At least have some kind of educated opinion. If you want me up here talking about hockey and some of these other sports, I'll give it a go. I'm gonna sound stupid. I try not to sound that dumb, right? So last we talked, we did a full recap of week one up until the Monday night game, featuring San Francisco 49ers hosting the New York Jets. Now, of course, at the end of the day, San Francisco came out on top, took home what they needed to, but we learned a lot of things from this game, from both sides of the ball, actually. We'll start with the Jets. With the Jets, this is welcome back, Mr. Rogers. We know Aaron got hurt 4 plays in last year, set out pretty much the whole year with his injury. This was his first time back. And with that comes some nervousness, not only from the fans, but from the players, from Aaron Rodgers. Um, the guy hadn't been hit for a while. And that's something that comes along with the game. Throughout all the training camp, throughout all the OTAs, and then, the fact that he doesn't really play preseason games, he doesn't get hit. You don't hit the quarterback, not in practice. So this was a good test for him just to see where he was. And I think he played pretty decent. Um, all in all, on the Jets side, not really a bad game, to be honest with you. Not really a bad game. Um, the biggest deal with the Jets, they came up against the 49ers. It's been really odd to me seeing some of the disrespect that's been kind of slapped on the Niners as this season has started. We get it. Everybody gets it. People get tired of seeing the same teams in good positions. Um, beat them. Beat them. As far as the 49ers, we've been in good positions, haven't taken anything home, haven't taken home the hardware. Um, as a fan, you really look forward to watching your team compete and being there at the end of it all and just always getting a little bit better. But it's a little bit of a drag if you get to the mountaintop and you don't take it home. Um, Two of those Lombardis that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are holding up came courtesy of the San Francisco 49ers. As a fan, it sucks. But also as a decent fan, hey, if you don't win, you don't win. You can get as far as you can get. But if you're not handling business, you know what's going to happen. Um, it really, to me, appears that the 49ers window is still open. Most of the reason why I'm going to say that is outside of Trent Williams, all of the 49ers best players are still in that prime region of life. Oh, it's not like we're lugging around a bunch of people in their 14th, 15th season. Like I said, take Trent Williams out of it. But everybody else is still primed and ready to go. I still don't think we've seen the best of Brock Purdy, who, once again, a lot of disrespect on Brock Purdy. I don't understand it. The guy has done everything that you can ask a quarterback to do except for win a Super Bowl. And the one that he lost was against Patrick Mahomes in overtime. That's not an easy task. That's not an easy task. The other day I talked about, I'm not going to crush the Ravens or Lamar because it's tough to beat the Chiefs. That's the truth of it all. So, all this Brock Purdy slander is absolutely crazy. Um, there's not too many quarterbacks, period, that come in their first year taking over the reins, where it wasn't like, you took over the reins the last game of the season, but due to injury, first year taking over the reins, you get to the championship game. You get hurt. You don't have a bad game. You just get hurt. Then the next year, you take that team one step further to the Super Bowl and you lose in overtime. Who else does that in the first 2 years? Most quarterbacks, if something like that happened, that third year, oh my God, this is the best person ever. This not Brock. Brock's an afterthought. I think it's real cool for him, and I think it helps drive the team. That and Ricky Pearsall, some of those tragic events, they can galvanize a team. And this is a team that's never really needed the galvanization. Not sure if that's a word, but I'm gonna use it. Giving them something, a chip on their shoulder, a push in the right direction, might be tough for the rest of the league. Let's be honest. San Fran retooled and got better. Right now, they're still without some key members to their defense. CMC still hasn't suited up and might not for week 2. Might be a little scary in the NFC. We shall see. Niners have some games on the schedule that's going to tell everything that needs to be told. Everything, right? So now let's move on to this upcoming week. We got some really, really, really good games. I'm going to go kind of brief on them. I will do a full recap after the Thursday game because the Thursday game is huge in and of itself. We could probably talk for an hour on that, but I'm not going to. Thursday night, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Now, this one looks great on paper, on whatever you want to look at it at. It's an AFC East matchup. A matchup that 20 years ago wouldn't have meant much, but right now this is huge. The AFC East is kind of wide open. I think everyone wants to crown Buffalo, but for what? What have they done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In the same vein, neither has Miami. Neither has the Jets. Remember, the Patriots ran that division for a good long time. Now it's still anyone's division. As good as Buffalo may be, they've went through a lot of change. And we did see how they struggled a little bit with Arizona starting that game. And then they got it together and yeah, they won the game. Same thing with Miami. Miami comes in with this huge offense that's supposed to just run up the score and do whatever they want. They struggled with Jacksonville a little bit. They picked it up as the game went on. We all saw what happened with the Jets. The Jets are going to be a good team. They're going to be a solid team. They just happened to play against a better team on Monday. No more, no less. Not going to knock them down a bunch of pegs. So this game on Thursday is huge at the beginning of the season between division rivals who not only could win the division, but could compete for a Lombardi. The tools are there. The players are there. We may have, seen that Buffalo Bills wide receiver room change around a little bit, but everyone loves to give a lot of credit to Josh Allen. If you're going to give the man the credit, if you're going to pat him on the back, then they should be competing, right? You look at Miami, re-signed Tua, Tyreek's there, Waddle's there. They got a great backfield. Apparently, Mostert's a little bit hurt, but A-Chain, solid. They got Jeff Wilson Jr., also solid. No, he came from the 49ers. I know what he has. The guy can play. The guy can run. He tear up that field. That being said, you got to win. I got to start seeing Miami and Buffalo reel off some victories. So let's see the winner of this one, where that takes them next week and beyond. The loser of this one, you're putting yourself in a hole because it's a division game. And that's going to wear a little bit on your psyche because I'm pretty sure both of these teams are walking into this game feeling like they're the top dog in their division, right? So going to be a little iffy, going to be a little shaky. Some other games coming up this weekend. Saints Dallas. I'm looking forward to that one. Now I have no problem saying I hate Dallas. I'm not a fan of theirs. Not a fan of Seattle. Those are the two teams that I'm just naturally kind of opposed to. But Dallas did look good against Cleveland. The Saints look fantastic against Carolina. But let's be honest, that's Carolina. Carolina is they're a team. They exist. They're nothing to sneeze about. Anybody that doesn't believe that, spend $5 and buy a ticket to a Panthers game from wherever you're at. Just spend the money. You probably get good seats for $15, real good seats. But that's going to be a really good matchup. Want to see what the Saints have. Want to see what Dallas has. One thing we know with the Saints, Dennis Allen, he does bring a good defense. So let's see how that rolls. Tampa Bay at Detroit, another big one. That's two division winners from last year, lining them up. We saw what Tampa did last week. Baker came out and he looked nice. He's looking like the dude at Oklahoma. He really is what we expected. Godwin's out there, Mike Evans out there, and them boys look good and prime. They look like Super Bowl year. Let's see how this team continues to look. I know that defense is going to be good too. We also know Detroit. Detroit, they're ready. They taste it. They believe. This is a good test for them. The Rams, that's one thing that's emotional test. Tampa, there's no emotion. Line them up. Here's another tough team. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Right? Now, the Niners this week have Minnesota, where a lot of people may think, Minnesota, no problem. But it's in Minnesota. And anyone that knows for whatever reason, the Niners have a problem with the Vikings in Minnesota for like 20 years or so. It's real weird, real odd. I was talking about this today with somebody. I remember that Brett Favre year with Minnesota. The Niners jumped out, to the season 5-0, I think maybe 6-0, and then had a game in Minnesota. And Brett Favre threw a last-second laser back of the end zone, walk-off touchdown. Vikings win, skull. And the Niners never recovered from that. And I don't think they've recovered since as far as trying to beat Minnesota in Minnesota. So as a fan, even though I know the team is good, shaky, a little nervous. Not going to lie to you. There's a few other games that have a little bit of interest. The Browns and the Jaguars, both of them coming off of losses. Both of them are teams that should be pretty good. Maybe not great, but pretty good. Should be eyeing the playoffs. Now, one of them is going to go 0-2. One of them is going to be 1-1. Let's see what it is. I just don't know. That Browns line looked real suspect. Made Deshaun look real terrible. Meanwhile, Jacksonville, some timely turnovers. Just some things that could be fixed that could have won that game last week. Now they're playing against a good D. They are playing at home, but let's see what happens. Right? You got Kansas City and Cincinnati. That's a real big one. We've seen a lot of reports and a lot of pictures and a lot of weird shit with Joe Burrow and is his wrist okay? Can he pick up a Gatorade bottle? I don't know. I don't know about all that. What I do know is they didn't play well last week at all, offensively or defensively. New England, they're not supposed to beat Cincinnati. Now let's see what happens when they're going out and they're playing Wolves. Now they're going and playing Kansas City. I hate being a Niner fan and having to actually heap praise on Kansas City, but I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't see Cincinnati winning this game. I don't see this being a highly competitive game if they bring the same stuff that they brought on Sunday. So we will see. That's one I'm really looking forward to in the 4 o'clock hour. 8 o'clock Sunday game. Bears, Texans. Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, number 1 pick, first, number 2 pick. Who's the number 3 pick? That's going to be a game. I didn't see anything, not one thing out of Caleb Williams this past Sunday that tells me that he's the guy. But they did win. Regardless of what it was, they did win. And even if they would have lost, it wouldn't have been because Caleb did something wrong. He just didn't show me the things that I saw at USC and the things that everyone's talking about. But week 2, you live, you learn, you watch the tape, you process these things, you listen to your coaches, you understand that it's the NFL. It's different. This ain't college. This is nothing that you played. You in college, these great quarterbacks, sometimes they, you might play against a Georgia or something like that, who you go out there and they got, 7 players over there on defense that are going to be in the NFL. Well, once you're in the NFL, everybody's there. They're all good. They all know a little more than you might think you know. So let's see how the Bears and Caleb Williams bounce back. CJ Stroud and Houston look good. I got no notes. They look good. And I think they're going to continue to grow. I really do. Let's see if someone knocks them down a peg. Our Monday night matchup is also going to be an interesting one. Falcons at the Eagles. Battle of the Birds. Now it's going to be interesting for a couple reasons. The biggest one is Atlanta. Who is Atlanta? What is Atlanta? We don't know. Did not see the use out of Bijan Robinson that I think he deserves, and I think that maybe could propel the Falcons. Did see a little work with Kyle Pitts. You got a number one receiver over there with Drake London. I should see more out of that offense. Didn't really see. I understand Pittsburgh has a good defense, but that offense didn't look like it had really practiced that much together. So let's see what happens there. On the Eagles side, they're coming off a good victory against the Packers. Saquon looks phenomenal. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, they look like the same player. Let's see if Hurts is going to continue what he's been doing. We know how last season wound down. After that 49er game, the Eagles weren't the same. Hurts wasn't the same. Might have been due to injury, might not have. Time will tell. This is a good way to really kick that off. Winning that game in Brazil, I don't really give anybody a lot of pluses for a game like that in Brazil. Nothing is normal. You don't have your regular things. You're not practicing the same. You're not even the same as a normal road game. The timetable, your schedule is off. Sleep and all of those things are off. So you go out there and you win that game. That's fantastic. Now you're back at home. Now let's see what you got. Now you're getting up and you're pulling up to the link. Let's see what Philly's going to do. Because I really don't know. But I mean, with that said, man, first week was awesome. It was real cool to see. Glad football is back. Really am. I know this season's going to have a lot of interesting plot lines and storylines. There's always something going on. And I'm here for it. College. Hey, look, anybody that's watching, listening, that's paying any attention, go look at the college schedule the first 3 weeks in October. There's some Saturdays there where I'm telling you, I got to be locked in and watching with this realignment. The whole realignment thing is real. It's crazy, but it's cool. I mean, we're going to see Georgia versus Texas in the regular season. That's dope. That's dope. I know coming up for myself, I'm a USC fan. USC is about to play Michigan. Real cool to see. There's a lot of great ranked matchups, even just great name matchups in those first 3 weeks that just the football fan, the sports fan in me is really looking forward to. I know basketball's coming up, or baseball playoffs is coming up. Basketball's coming. We'll talk about that when we get there. Trust that. But baseball playoffs are coming. Who's gonna get it done in the AL? Obviously, it looks like you're going to be looking at the Yankees. You're going to be looking at the Guardians. My bet is on the Guardians. Sure, I live in Northeast Ohio, but there's something about that team and the way that they grind. They really play for each other, it really seems like, and it looks like they have fun. It's like watching a Sandlot pro team. So don't really know what's going to happen, but looking forward to seeing it. In the NL, is anyone going to knock the Dodgers off? The Dodgers, they're the cream of the crop out there. They're the top dogs. Who's going to get hot? Whose pitching staff is going to wear down the Dodgers? Whose relief pitchers is going to be able to hold them off? I don't know. Really looking forward to seeing how these playoffs roll. I'm much more of a fan of playoff baseball at this point in my life. Share something with you. I used to love baseball. In 2007, as a Red Sox fan, 2007, I think I might have watched 160, maybe 159 regular season games of the Sox. Then watched every playoff game. Celebrated when the Sox won. Absolutely loved it. Since then, it's been a little bit of a decline. Those COVID years really pulled me out of baseball. Just the game wasn't the same without the fans. When that ball cracks off the bat for a big hit, big home run, nothing like it. Nothing like that strikeout on a shutout, or just to get out of a jam. Nothing like it when that crowd goes crazy. When that went away, I kind of chilled out on baseball and just started watching other stuff. Some of my favorite stuff to watch during those times: ESPN El Ocho. You give me any of the weird stuff. Cherry pit spitting, um, stone skipping. What's the slide, the oily stairs. I watched a good juggling dodgeball match. That stuff was cool because it was stuff I never seen before. Get a good laugh, bet $1 with a friend, bet a shot with a friend. But it was just different. But when the fans weren't, sitting there with a lot of the sports that I was used to watching, it took away from the whole atmosphere. So baseball just wasn't it. Football kind of stayed in it with me because for the most part, the camera's, looking at the field. And you could just pump crowd noise. I can care less about the crowd. I really just, love the game. Basketball was kind of the same way. I'm much more into playoff basketball now. Every now and then, big game basketball. But basketball is because of that, the bubble is just weird to watch. But then also just the people sitting, man, just the rest that just got old, man. I'm gonna sound like an old man, but that's fine. I came up in a time where if you were healthy, you played. Period. Not a lot to add to it. This goes for greats. This goes for guys at the end of the bench. If you were healthy, there was no DMP for rest. Who does that? And I'm talking about some of the greatest and best that's ever laced them up. Michael Jordan played 82 games all them years. What am I hearing from some of these other players? As far as medical services and all that, it's way different now. You back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you tear an Achilles, your career's over. Tear your ACL, you'll never be the same. Now guys do that, they're out a year, and they can come back and play. Hey, Kevin Durant, he out there hooping. You know what I mean? When Kobe went through his, he came back and hooped. We see this out of players. I remember seeing Sean Livingston have one of the most gruesome injuries I ever saw. And he came back and was a very good player. He might not have been the all-star caliber player that he was, but boy, great mid-range, awesome player. So all that to say, I will talk about all sports. I'm going to get in where I can fit in. I'm going to chit-chat about a lot of stuff. But football, we're going to talk a lot about football. We'll switch to other things when football's over. But we're going to talk about it. Apparently, I ruffled some feathers last time we talked, when I talked about the WNBA and I talked about A'ja Wilson and her being the best player. Listen, I'm a big fan of Caitlin Clark. Big fan. I'm not going to say nothing bad about her. But it's okay if she's not the best player. It's okay if she's not the MVP. Now, the Fever keeps making the run that they're making. Maybe she gets MVP. She's not the best player, though. We've seen that happen time and time again. 97, I believe, Karl Malone and John Stockton split the MVP. The best player was Michael Jordan. Everyone knows that. They knew that. And that's okay. Like, that's all right. People want to take shots or say whatever they want to say. Because I said A'ja Wilson's the best basketball player in the game. She is. What's wrong with that? That's okay. Anybody that if you could throw a name out of any player that's played basketball outside of Michael Jordan, when someone said that they were the best, there were other options. There just were. When LeBron came in, for all of this, LeBron's the best player ever. There were different moments in his career where Kobe was the best player in the league. Steph was the best player in the league. Kevin Durant was the best player in the league. James Harden. The thing with LeBron was he was just consistently great. He was consistently one of the top 2, 3 in the league for his whole career. That's what made it different. That didn't make him the best all the time. Right now, what Asia Wilson is doing is remarkable because she's been doing it. The consistency is there. If Caitlin Clark, what if next year she doesn't come out and she's playing like this? Then she's Jeremy Lin? I don't believe that. I believe she's going to come out and she's going to change the game, and her star is going to keep rising, and she's going to do great. I really believe that. I love watching her play. I believe the same thing with Angel Reese. What I believe we're seeing is a great guard and a great big come in at the same time and just roll with the lead. That's a good thing to see, y'all. So when I say somebody is the best player, that doesn't mean I'm hating on the other players at all. I'm just calling it like I see it. If you want to ask me who I think the best quarterback in the game is right now, it's Patrick Mahomes. Now, nowhere in there did you hear me say Josh Allen isn't great, Joe Burrow isn't great, Lamar Jackson isn't great, Brock Purdy isn't great. I just said who I think is the best. I think that's fair. I really do. So for me, Asia, best. WNBA. Caitlin Clark, she's on her way to being the best. She's not there yet. In order to beat a big dog, you either need to beat the big dog or wait till the big dog sit on the porch. Hey, look, that being said, I'm up out of here. Y'all have a good night. Be good at it. Do your thing. Love y'all. Till next time.